Hello, everybody. We are DebateSensei. This is Wednesday. Yes.
Is it really?
All right. Yeah. All right. We got Matt, the reasonable person, Esquire.
Hello.
Tim, causer of problems from San Diego. I'm Jared.
And fixer of Stormy Daniels-like people. And Jared, your professor of communications, my professor of communications, and not Tim's professor of communications.
Nope, just my prepper of some debate rooms, and also Gumby's arch nemesis this week. You are the red Gumby this week.
And Fluffer.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Whatever. But I'm just going to be red, apparently. Maybe forever. Maybe I'm just going to be forever.
Jared's like actually in the woods in Thailand right now, and it's sunny. So that's why he's appearing the way he is. He's not a user of false backgrounds or ChatGPT for everything he uses in his life. Sorry.
It is what it is, everybody. All right.
It is what it is.
And what are we debating this week?
All right, we got our topic selection week. We always like these ones.
I love a good international. It's not parliamentary debate, right? It's international
public debate association.
Yeah. So you get 5 topics. We're gonna rank them, starting with the negative to strike the topic that they don't want, and then we're gonna debate the final one that we come to, or at least see. And sometimes our good friend ChatGPT likes to chime in on which topics are better.
Oh yeah, we are going to. Oh, that's a good one. I should throw that. We could throw that one in at the end too.
Literally everything you hear tonight is not an original thought by any of us. We just have 3 ChatGPTs communicating with each other, providing content for us to speak and read to you tonight. So if you're wondering, none of us have a brain that does anything anymore because of ChatGPT. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Number 1 endorser of all, Jared, take it.
Well, it is a very big part of what we're doing right now. In fact, we just put together a Udemy course. Here is the link for you. We definitely incorporated ChatGPT into our course, as well as Udemy and other AI tools like Synthesia. So we are definitely we're leaning into AI.
This link that Jared just posted, the Udemy link, is a point-and-click. You can use and experience the DebateSensei experience and be educated to a very basic extent, although it goes a little deeper than our original first course.
Yeah, it's our persuasion course. It's the persuasion course.
Whole college course.
Yeah.
And of all the courses on Udemy, it's only $24.99. And let me tell you something. You want a psychology persuasion course? It's going to cost you $100 on Udemy. Excuse me.
Do you want to take that course at SCC? I don't know how many dollars.
That's going to cost you $1,300 a semester, bro. So go check out the course. It's worth your time, and show your kids. You know what I mean? You want them to be smart, don't you?
So there we go. So that's our course. We're definitely very, very proud of that, as well as our other content. But this week we're going to be focusing on different topics. We got these topics from the Illinois Intercollegiate Forensic Association tournament, and I liked them. They're pretty good. And it was the final round at that one, I believe. And some big hitters were there, like Bradley. So it was great.
Bradley.
All right.
Which is cool to see Bradley picking up a debate event. Like,
Bradley's
Go
some
Bradley.
inside debate school knowledge. Like, people around the world may not know Bradley, but people in the debate community know Bradley. They're like a big old.
Well, it's like people in
Bradley
the
school.
speech community know Bradley, though, right? Like
Speech
they are
community.
a like hardcore
Oh.
speech. So the fact that they're like even dipping a toe into IPDA, like,
Right.
go.
Right.
I like that.
I'm speaking from a crossover. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of limited prep and some debate, so I've heard of Bradley, and they're no joke.
Yeah.
Have they heard of you?
Probably not. Not yet.
All right, here we go.
Tim and Jared.
Yep.
All right.
So tails, I'm negative. Heads, I'm affirmative.
That's right. So here we go. We're going to flip again.
Heads, I'm affirmative. So that
Gross.
means
Alright.
you strike first as the negative. What
Okay.
topic are we striking first?
All
We're
right.
going through 5 topics, and we're striking them, and Jared strikes first.
You can see the topics in the description, but we're going to go through each one of them. And I'm going blind here. Like I copy pasted them. But let's see here.
That's what you're supposed to do. This is a limited preparation event.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to know what they are, so that's how it works. Okay.
I'm
Tim
negative. I'm
studied.
negative. I'm
Tim's
negative,
a
I'm
cheater.
negative.
Oh yeah, 100%. I am
Colluding.
absolutely a cheater.
Yeah, he has a post-it note full of notes.
Yep. I'm not like an extensive cheater, but I am nonetheless.
Okay.
You ain't cheating.
We'll strike this one first.
So Jared, he could always put me in an armbar of like he knows that I'm gonna strike the metaphor, so he can just pick whatever his second least favorite is, knowing I will. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, let's just get rid of this one. I want to see where you go from here.
On the neg, Jared is a fan of instant gratification, so he cannot live with this one for a moment.
As as metaphors go, I actually like this one a lot more than most. I would be more down to debate this than most metaphors. Like the proof is in the pudding. Like those kinds of metaphors I just have a much harder time with. I like this one a little better. I feel like it's a little more straightforward. On the negative, what would you have said if you were forced to debate it?
If I was forced to debate it, so I think one of my favorite lines from The Great Debaters, the movie with Denzel Washington.
Denzel, bro.
Yeah.
You ever heard of him?
Yeah. So one of the debaters says that like the time of justice is always right now. And she says it with a figure, like great figures of speech and delivery and everything like that. But the gist of it, that the time for justice is always right now. I'd say that like the ability to wait is a privilege that not everybody enjoys.
Okay.
But that's the thing, is that the affirmative gets to frame it first. They get a
Yeah.
The affirmative has like
minute,
10
you know what I mean?
million
Like,
quotations that they
yeah,
can be
and it's
like.
really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to sometimes steer away from what the affirmative got going. You know what I mean? Like if they got some motivation and they got some mojo going, you know what I mean, to cut up and start making like, oh, I don't know if the privilege argument is fitting on this one, because they might have chosen a case area that it doesn't really link very hard to.
Yeah, I think I'd start with the marshmallow test. That's like done with children, of like how long they can delay gratification and like the results that has in later life, and just start tying that through to like all the areas of life and like the ways that the world would be a better place were it not for instant gratification. So I would start defining like good
Which
things
is great, by
as
the
like
way.
positivity or just like the immediate feedback, sugar high, video game version of things versus things that are slow and things that are difficult and things that are only pay off in the long run, like planting a tree, right? So I think I can start, tying through a bunch of examples, probably those bigger, more world-changing examples that I can think of that would have to do with delayed gratification instead of instant.
Yeah. I like the only way that I think of what my original strategy would be able to apply to that would be if I started talking about neural atypical people that might not be able to do that, and so I think that's an okay debate. I don't think that's bad. I think because I still think you get to come back on like, all right.
If you were to like tricot this, what would you call it? Just because I'm curious.
I'd say value round.
Yeah,
I would probably make the value like.
Trichotomy.
I think you just go on like
value policy,
like utilitarianism or something, like the end result or something. Because I think that's where I would say start defining like good things contextually and weighting as like action that doesn't have an immediate feedback or immediate response.
Yeah,
and therefore like whatever the end result is. So just like a consequentialist, like through and through direction.
I just wanted to kind of say really quick, if you do go value fact round, not necessarily policy round, which by the way, if there's some like very highly contextual, kind of easily seeable policy thing going on, you could make this a policy round. But I kind of typically agree this would be like a fact round or a value round. And if so, I mean, there's a million anecdotal kind of examples of this.
Yeah.
So
someone made a good.
Oprah didn't make it till she was 40 or whatever it was.
We gotta move on. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. My bad. I'll stop.
Most time we've ever spent on the metaphor, so that's fun, right?
All right, it's you.
Okay, I will strike. Airlines. USFG should increase regulations on airline industry. So I strike it because I don't really know why they should impose more regulation. Like, I know that United beat that guy up one time, and I know that Spirit likes to do that kind of thing, but I don't really know like why there needs to be more regulations necessarily. I feel like it's already a pretty heavily regulated industry.
Well, as a survivor of the Southwest debacle right after Christmas, right between Christmas and New Year, where I got stranded in Chicago, I'm still waiting on reimbursement for all the money that
Are you really?
I lost. Yeah,
I got screwed with the same thing to a micro extent. Like, they canceled my flights and we had to rent a car and it like changed our whatever. I got the money in like a week. Like, they were super quick about it, and they also sent like 50,000 rewards points as an apology, and like they were so over the top. Like,
you should write a sternly worded letter.
Yeah, they didn't even give us a third of what we put down for what we lost a lot. So that would be one area that I could do it. And so yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the debate at hand. Okay. Jared is the neg. Okay. So Tim struck it, and this is a policy round. Substantially increasing regulations for airlines. Man, what would you, if you had to run AF though, what would you say? I'd be like, stop beating up people on airlines. Is that what you're like? Use the duct tape.
Southwest should like pay people back quicker. That's what
is that a regulation? I suppose it. Like, you know what I would do? So in a pretty good one, in Europe, if you are delayed more than 3 hours, you're entitled to 650 euros from the airline.
Wow.
So I think you just impose that and start talking about like efficiencies in European airlines probably went way up after there was just like a hardline dollar amount put on their delays. Like, they're probably not so willing to do that.
You can pretty easily like require a certain like functionality of your system. Like, it has to pass certain stress tests. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what happened with Southwest, was that their entire scheduling system fell apart because they didn't update it enough. You know what I mean? You're like, no, you have to update your system.
What was the cause of the Southwest debacle?
I understand it to be two parts, but Jared lived it, so it was better.
Hold on. What's your two parts? Like, in a sentence.
So it was like there was extreme weather events, which causes delays, right? Because it's not the case that like
moving on,
cycle planes. But the second was their scheduling, because people were downed in certain areas. Their ability to get like flight attendants and pilots and planes, each of which have like their own separate like scheduling network. There were enough call outs and like time delays and things where like flight attendants were going to have to work like 20 hours straight, and their unions pushed back and were like, no, we're not working 20 hours straight. It meant that like more of them had to call out, and then the delays kept compounding. And so it made it up to a point where they said, at least their press
scheduling,
release,
employment, and weather delays.
And plane availability. So the combination of all those things where they had to do what they called just a full fleet reset. and it took like 3 or 4 days just to move people and machines back into the places they needed to be, wait for the weather to pass, and then they could restart. Is how
They were lucky that weather was messed up that day.
So,
okay, neg, Jared, the most biased person in the world. What is the neg? Jared's like, no, I can't. I concede. Give them the round.
Yeah.
Have you flown on Southwest recently? Jesus.
It's just this diatribe, man. There is no neg.
There is no neg. You are doomed on the neg. Have you been on Southwest? Have you flown Spirit? I mean,
that's why you're red, actually. You just because you saw this topic, you just.
The neg is like capitalism, bro. It's like if people pay for services and they generally work out, and all the lawsuits you can put against someone don't equate to more than the profit, hey, then there should be no regulation. Let the market decide.
I'm red, like the emotion, anger from Inside Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So what are you striking? Your turn.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait, I need a pen. Hold on. These jackets are so cool.
All right. This one. I'm not particularly a fan. So IIFA is the Illinois, Intercollegiate Forensic Association, and so I guess it might be because of the broadcast. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that on, for the final topic. But it's okay.
It's very meta.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
This is a debate about debate. Okay,
yeah. So I kind of like this topic. This was like my number 2 on the affirmative. Regardless of what the institution is, I'm sure you could get more proximal impacts and things you want to start talking about where IIFA is in terms of development and membership and whatever. But I think there's a pretty good argument to be made that across the country, COVID certainly had a significant effect on it, but forensics is shrinking as a community, and that is a bummer. Everyone that is in it is sad to see that happen. And experimental debates, there's some good neg ground here, but I would say experimental debate events tend to evoke excitement and interest and welcome new people in. And I think some of the things that tend to close off debate are the insular, shrinking, non-inclusive nature that tends to happen from particularly entrenched events with an in-group, out-group. So experimental events invite new participants in.
STDs. Oh, yeah. New participants. Right,
yeah.
Right.
Just swirl them into the pool.
So you're just going on a principle, or is there a particular event that you're recommending?
Improv pairs. So they had a
naked
improv duo.
Debate.
Yeah, I think that IPD or some debate events that we have today started as kind of experimental. So I would say it is the evolution of forensics requires new events to happen. Broadcast journalism was another speech event that was done a while ago that kind of got some traction that was sort of cool. I know that Pi Kappa Delta does interviewing, that's an actual event. That's cool. I like seeing non-traditional events that have some potential practical application and get people interested and excited.
Okay.
I have a brief example. At some point, I competed in something called public forum debate. Okay. But when I went to the national championship in Muncie, Indiana, and won.
Coach put you in. Back in that day, you could throw a pig a quarter mile.
Check the news. Check the newspaper. It's 2014. What I do remember is they had something I had never, I hate to sound like this, I had never heard it before. It was called Crossfire Public Forum. And so I realized I wasn't in public forum. I was in traditional public forum, which had a traditional time settings, and the rules were what they were for traditional. But what am I telling you? I'm telling you that at some point, someone modified public forum and made something called Crossfire, and there were way more people in the Crossfire tournament than there were in the traditional tournament, which had a longer times and, in my opinion, was much more difficult. But the long story short is, it is true. I think that may be kind of a little bit of proof that Traditional was the old one because it's called traditional, and Crossfire was new, and it attracted a lot of people to those programs who were in the Midwest doing it. So, yeah, that's and now I think it's almost pervasive. But at that time, I had never. I went to the NAC tournament not knowing what the other type was, so it was weird.
All right. Real quick on the next, I think I'd make sure to push you into an actual policy. So if you're going to do like an interp event, I'm kind of like interp is already overrepresented, and then
the slash, like, does it have to be both?
Yeah, and so it's kind of a I kind of push into the policy debate and just
try. Yeah, I think I'd pick interviewing. I think I'd put my eggs in that basket.
Yeah, and then I just try to think of some stuff really quick.
I think you can say like experimental debate or experimental events tend to also detract interest from other events. So like the fact that like cultural artifact never makes anymore. That used to be like a popular event and it just doesn't make anymore. Like even duos are significantly shrinking because there's just other events that students want to prioritize. And so if they just want to throw in another event, they'll do the easy one and they won't do the hard one. And CAs will cease to exist and duos will cease to exist. And like, we just keep losing events. And so it's...
I bet you the pandemic decreased duos.
Oh, honestly. Dramatically. Hugely. That's really sucked, honestly. I have seen 0 duos this entire year.
Those are really cool, too. I mean, I've been to all those events. And
I think duos
final
are the best
rounds and stuff. Anyways.
All right.
I strike... Even though I really like this topic, workplace culture over high salary. I think this is a very interesting debate, but I strike this one. So when forced to choose, a strongly positive workplace culture is preferable to a high salary.
Don't go to Twitter anytime soon.
Oh, really?
We're super hardcore. So on the affirmative, I think I would just start throwing out there that money is the worst. Who needs it? And, your work is like your family. We spend more time at our jobs than we spend at home. So therefore, you may as well like the place where you're living.
Yeah.
I think I just embrace the suck and be like, it's better to like what you spend 40 plus hours.
Question, working from home, how are you going to fight that stuff? I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Jim.
My boss is a monster.
Positive, yeah.
This is so easy on the neg. Do you like money? Yeah. Would money make your workplace culture probably better? You wouldn't even care about it? Yeah. Okay, then get the money. Okay.
You ever watch Boiler Room though, or like Wolf of Wall Street? Like,
communist? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I would kind of like to spin it like when you're talking high salary, you're talking like high salary for everyone. It seems like the best way to have a good workplace culture is if everyone had a fairly high salary. And I'd use that example of the CEO that raised everyone's starting salary to $70,000 and he took like $1 million pay cut based on principle, and so I'm like, this workplace culture is a way to
do it, Jared.
Yeah.
Does a high salary increase workplace culture? Okay.
Yeah.
And everyone's getting paid well. Then if the workplace, everyone's like, yeah, man, I'm going to Jamaica this weekend.
The thing is, though, I think that rich people are snobs. And so if you just fill your workplace full of people that make a lot of money, all over the suck.
Like a high standard.
That's why I will take on that burden of all that money. I will become the asshole that nobody likes.
Just the
yuppie
clown.
Hold on. I want to pay. Okay, we can talk about the app. Okay, on the neg though, I mean, I know there's this concept of like a CEO making all the money and all the plebes are on the ground doing nothing, making nothing. But like a high stress, high standard environment where like the bar is set because of the high stress, because of the high standards of the environment. That can be a highly productive place to make money. And although the workplace culture may be a little stressful, okay, I get.
See, that's interesting because, like, Matt, you're talking like when you're making the decision about what career to go for.
Well, all I'm telling you is this.
It's almost like he's posing it as like how to make a personal decision about what career.
Well, no, any career,
like,
there's a various.
Don't worry about the work, like go for the high salary. You know?
No, all I'm saying is this. Sometimes a positive workplace environment, in my mind, can be defined as like low stress. I'm not talking about like harassment. I'm not talking about like things of like, I'm talking more of just, when you go to work, do you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders? Okay, if you do, that's not. I promise you. Unfortunately, I'm telling you now, it's not positive. Okay, there's parts of that are very stressful. That's the word I'm going to use because it's not. But I do believe you can make sharp knives out of stress. Okay, so I just mean to say that. Be careful. On the app, though, I totally understand. If you're like in a harassment situation, you're not even making money, and the boss is screaming at you every day. Yeah, okay, get out of there. Duh.
All right. You know what that leaves?
I don't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't even get paid by ChatGPT yet. So someday
we're fishing for that sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember,
okay. So
Udemy
6 months in a row on the podcast.
At our course.
All right. So right off the bat, cover letters are so awful, and they don't exist anymore because ChatGPT 86 those suckers. Like no one writes a cover letter anymore, nor should they. They're stupid. And I think when you have like a powerful tool that can accomplish a lot of things, and it does so probably better than a human being would if they were just pounding on the keyboard for the most part, like I think that starts to point out areas where we had a barrier for work's sake to make something happen. Like, I don't think that cover letters ever really get someone a job. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm kind of right about that one. And I feel like that's one of those like, well, if they really care about it, they'll make a cover letter. And technology was like, yep, that problem's now gone. And that's awesome.
Your entire app is like screw cover letters.
I mean, it's the guy that ran for mayor of New York on the platform.
I'd like to parametricize this round to cover letters and nothing else. That is the ground. The neg. Here's what they can say. People write really good cover letters.
Yeah. I'm only allowed to say cover letters good.
Yep, that's it. I parametricized this down exactly where I want you.
I dare you to argue that cover letters are good.
There's a million more places that people use ChatGPT to help write and whatever, and come up with things. And I think like it probably is going to like replace a million jobs. But I think the like job loss argument is really sad and non-unique because it's like any new innovation replaces jobs across the board. And if it can, it should. Yeah, I think we'll stand on that. Yeah, if a job can be eliminated through some technological advance, it should be.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, I don't want to go for the jobs argument on the neg. You know,
okay, that's just like the immediate ground that I expect.
But I don't want to discourage anybody else from doing that either, because I do think that there's going to be some profound changes in the labor market. You know what I mean? And like I think that they should be willing to explore that. I think I might just be so damn pretentious that I don't go for the obvious argument, for the easy argument. I think that might be it, or I just go for things that interest me. And
delayed gratification.
Yeah. Well, you could make the argument that ChatGPT fosters a culture of instant gratification, and that's bad. Do you know why?
Masturbation.
Use the marshmallow.
That's not the right answer, everybody. That was wrong. They're laughing because it was wrong, or it was right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that was the harkening back to good things come. Good things come. You know what I mean?
From the
says ChatGPT.
So, all right. So, yes, the profound shift in labor market is a big one. Actually, when we had our insightful friends from the Indubitably podcast come over, one of them posed the idea of a robot tax. I thought that was kind of cool. So like companies that use, technology en masse to do such significant job displacement
Consider
owe
replacing
something to the people, and like a robot tax goes towards something like universal basic income of like, yep, like you're not paying taxes on, employees generate tax revenue, but robots do not. And so, the government's losing out on $1 and, that's always sad. So let's find a way to extract that. But like, I think it kind of makes sense if it is earmarked to go to something pro-social to support those folks that are out of the job because the robot did it.
Tying that to what is it?
UBI.
UBI is the greatest thing I've ever heard. STI.
Yeah.
UBI, excuse me, UBI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the robot tax is kind of an interesting avenue of like an alternative. So that's kind of a cool.
No, that's great. I love it.
Yeah, but it doesn't like the robot tax is a good policy response.
Or you have to pay the robots, and that money goes
more
to
harmful than helpful. I think I might go for like the disinformation argument.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
and it's very convincing disinformation too. It's like indistinguishable. It's not just blatantly stupid the way that like old chatbots and produce stuff. It looks really good. It's persuasive.
Yeah. So you do have like it generates confident sounding stuff. It's basically like mansplaining as a service, as I've heard it called.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you just like no way of knowing whether or not it's accurate at all. But it puts stuff out there. But also you can generate that stuff and then publish it. You know what I mean? It's like, so on top of that, I think the spread of disinformation and propaganda, now you've just like decreased the workload for people. And so you could use the internet itself as the analogy. Like I am old enough to remember when everyone was talking about how information is going to democratize the world. And it seems like not only have we not done that, it seems
but
like
the marketplace of ideas has been filled with
ChatGPT a little bit.
lies. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think the subject of like Google makes it kind of useless to memorize things anymore. Like a history class where you just need to know the date that the Civil War ended or something. Why is that useful for our students to know that when you can Google it? I feel like that particular phrase, like, why would I need to know that if I can just Google it, is the same kind of argument of like, why do I need to know how to do the math equation if I can use a calculator? Like maybe there's a little bit more justification to like understanding, mechanism and process. But I think this takes it like a significant step forward of like, why do I even need to write that if the robot can write it just as well? Like,
because it takes away all original human thought. That's my only point.
So I feel kind of stupid because the best argument is that ChatGPT is neither more helpful nor more harmful. It's just
neutral.
Yeah, like I say, like and then I might. Oh damn! If I walk in there with that, I'm like, see, his best example is a freaking cover letter. ChatGPT ain't gonna do shit. You know what I mean? Like,
ChatGPT, what are the nuclear codes?
Yeah. And so like everyone, like I could be the person who comes in and says like, yeah, it's all bullshit. It's not going to change anything. The internet didn't change anything. It did, but it didn't. It's like it's just repetition with difference. And fuck it, get all
he into a piece of plastic and
that's what
glass
I say about my whole life,
connected by the internet, broadcasting to the world. The internet, what has the internet done for me lately?
Yeah,
let's get off this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Jeez, we're going overtime for real. ChatGPT didn't write this script.
We're just a bunch of dudes talking about debate and nobody cares about. It's like, yeah, we had that before the internet too. So
it was alone in a room.
Better alcohol,
Don't touch his stuff. No educator in the United States touches alcohol.
You heard it here first. All right, that is plenty of IPDA for one day.
Yes. Yeah. All right, everybody. We will come back next week. I'm feeling like, what do we got coming up next week?
Technology.
St. Patrick's Day.
All right. Oh, it is. Maybe. We have between now and then the Oscars are going to be there, so maybe we'll talk about that. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you very much if you're were watching us through that. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. And here we go. I got my outro going. We are Matt, Tim, and Jared. We'll be back next week. See you later.
Take care.